For this Pokéball tutorial, I'm using a 9.8-inch MDF board. I've also drilled a hole directly into the center of the board. There are two reasons to cover your boards with clear contact paper. One is to make sure that the boards don't get scratched, and two, to make it food safe. Place the contact paper onto the board. Gently and slowly roll it out. Edges. Flip the board over and trim with an X-Acto blade. You want to make sure you're not cutting your board. If you do cut your board, you can also always touch it up on the edge a little bit with markers. But it's best to try to stay away from the board as much as possible. Like that. You just want to put the X-Acto blade down, blade first, so it doesn't cut the board. Using a circle cutter, I've cut 3 9.5-inch rounds out of foam core. Now I'm going to glue these 3 boards together. To make the edges perfectly flush and smooth, I use one of my favorite tools, a hand grater. I'll put the whole half round on a piece of styrofoam and inserted a skewer in the middle, just to give it a little bit of stability. Now we're going to use some styrofoam glue. I'm going to do it all around the edges. And we're going to place the foam core that we just cut out onto the glue. Gonna make sure it's straight. Get up here. And we're gonna allow the styrofoam glue to dry. Using a hex bolt, we're going to add a washer, and we're going to put it into the hole that we drilled earlier. A hole has been drilled in the bottom of the sphere and also into the foam core. Now we're going to put this on, twirl it around, get it in there. You're going to take a washer, and because the bolt is a little bit long, I'm using a PVC spacer. You want to make sure that at the bottom of the bolt, you want to make sure that it's flush on the bottom. Going to add another washer and a nut. Now we're going to disassemble the half round, and we're going to cover it in a mixture of half fondant and half modeling chocolate. There there are two ways you can cover the Pokéball. One is by mixing 50% fondant with modeling chocolate, and the other is just using fondant with a little bit of Tylose powder. For the lower part of the Pokéball, I'm just using fondant with a half a teaspoon of Tylose powder. Allow the fondant to rest for about 30 minutes before rolling it out. To roll out the fondant, put some cornstarch down. Make sure it doesn't stick. And you're just gonna put even pressure. The more even your pressure is, the less air bubbles that you'll get into the fondant. It's like rolling out pie dough, pie crust. Just want to be gentle with it. You don't want to massacre the fondant. Make sure it's not sticking. If you get an air bubble, just take a toothpick and pop it. Just show your fondant a little bit of love. Okay, I'm gonna continue rolling out this fondant and I'll be right back. For the spear, we're going to coat it with shortening. Now this spear that we're working on here is called smooth foam. Makes it easier to get the fondant smooth. If you're doing a regular cake dummy, it's a little bit harder. This is not necessarily a cake dummy, it's just a foam half spear. Smooth foam. And make sure that it's coated really well all the way around. You're gonna sprinkle the fondant with cornstarch. And then you're going to take your roller and roll it up. Make sure you can handle. All right, I'll put the dummy over here. Put the, and then you're going to take the fondant and you're going to lay it gently over the dummy. Okay. All right, let's see. I'm going to put this onto a cake stand here. Make it a little bit easier. Hopefully you can see it. It's not too tall. Let's see, there you go. What you're going to do with the fondant is just gently pull it out. Try not to crease it. Got a bobo there, so I'll put a little bit of shortening there. Get that one out. And you're just going to work real slowly and patiently to get it to cover. Now the real heavy stuff, just go ahead and get a knife and let's get some of that off so it doesn't pull. Let's take some of that off, not much. I'm going to finish covering this in fondant and I'll be right back. Take your fondant smoother, smooth it out. If it's drying out, just add a little bit more shortening. Now we're going to let both of these spears dry overnight. After the white half spear dried for about 30 minutes, I trimmed around the edges. I then placed it back onto the frame and put a white strip around the edges to hide the styrofoam. For the black strip around the edges, we're going to be using an extruder. And it's going to be approximately 31 to 32 inches. Take the fondant, or melon chocolate, lightly put some shortening on the back. And we're going to put it around the edges. And if you're using melon chocolate, well, the seam you can just work the seam together. If you're using fondant, just take a little bit of shortening and work it together. Making sure that it sticks real well to the base. Use your fondant smoother to smooth it out and make sure that it attaches real well to the foam core board. If you get some extra that comes around the edges, just use your X-Acto blade and clean it up. If you get black onto the white, you can take just a little bit of shortening and it'll come right up, or you can dab a little bit of water on a lint-free cloth and actually clean up the white, because it's really easy to get spots like this. Just take your little shortening and it comes right off. If you're making this Pokéball to display cake pops, match the diameter of the cake pop stick with a skewer and then sharpen the edge. You're going to place it into the top of the cake ball and you're going to hold it straight up in diameter because you don't want your cake pops to be doing this, and just gently twist and turn the skewer down into the foam. Once you've found the center of your Pokeball, you're going to measure 2 inches apart for the next hole. It's a lot easier to go ahead and make all of your cake pop holes now before putting it back onto the cake pop stand. To attach the red ball, we're going to now use the styrofoam glue. Just make sure that you don't get it too close to the fondant. Just around, but you want it to meet and you want it to stay. Gonna center it down. Make sure that it's straight, because once it dries, it's gonna be on there. You're gonna take a green circle cutter and place it into the center of the ball. Press down evenly. Little twist. And it comes right out. I'm going to roll out a piece of black fondant or Malin chocolate. Pretty thin, because you want it to fit inside, not flush. I'm going to use the same circle cutter. And you're going to add a little bit of shortening. And place it into the center of the ball that you would cut out. Make sure that it's going inside and it's flush. Just kind of blend it in through the sides, just kind of blend it in, because it's all supposed to be one piece. So just take your finger and blend it in toward the sides. You're going to roll out a piece of white Malin chocolate or fondant. It's going to be pretty thin. And you're going to use the red circle cutter. You're going to add a little bit of water just on the top and on the bottom. And on this piece, when you put it on, you're going to attach it to the bottom and to the top. You don't want to press the center down into the seam. You want to kind of cup it. Make sure that this stays round. You just want to press it down on the top and on the bottom. Just a little bit. Because you don't want to make a crease right in the center, so you're just pressing it here and here to attach. And then we're going to roll out a smaller piece of Malin chocolate, because the Pokeball does have 2 white centers. And we're going to use our large plunger cutter. And since it needs to be a little bit larger, we're just going to press the ends between our forefinger and our thumb Trying to keep it smooth. And round. Touch a little bit of water. Stick it into the center. Of the other round. And now you have a Pokéball display for your Pokemon party, or it's a Pokemon Go for your cake pops. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did, subscribe. Thanks so much for watching.